Broadcast is now going live. Welcome,
Nice.
Corvus. Welcome
Hello.
to my channel. Cool to have you. Known each other for a little while. Probably didn't quite expect this to be the interview that it is going to be off the bat, but that's Satanism, dude. How you doing?
I'm shutting down some extra windows. I'm getting a little echo here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna.
There we go. How's that?
This seems good. All right, how do we do it?
I think we're doing good.
Yeah, it seems clean.
It seems clean.
I'm glad to be back in black.
Back in black. It's good to have you back, brother.
After a short sabbatical attending to one's personal studies, now we find ourselves in the typical third shift, New Zealand time, meeting of the minds.
Meeting of the minds.
This will be the mutual expression of our generally discordant and disorganized controversial statements about groups, thoughts, people, attitudes, politics.
People in general. Just
Everything.
like, you know, like you say, a meeting of the minds. And that's not to say great minds, because I don't believe either of us possess such a thing. But I do believe that both of us possess a mind that is able to decipher and able to converse on subjects and, to be able to figure shit out.
And the hope is that hopefully over the course of this conversation, maybe we'll be joined by somebody else that can offer some type of original synthesis to the back and forth.
Absolutely.
So want to welcome anybody interested in joining in and participating in what is to be the first mic cross, second mic cross live chat of 2016, I guess, right? Is that where we're at?
The Corvus Diabolus Mike Man on a Cross live chat.
Rolling the analog ciggies, prepping for serious contemplation. Beautiful Dutch tobacco, the East Indies Company.
East Indies Company. I'll tell you what, dude, it is kind of strange being on a 42-inch monitor.
I like it. I'm gonna do this.
And being toothless.
And toothless.
Yeah, like I lost my teeth, dude.
What happened?
Oh man, it's an amazing story. Let me tell you. I was driving an abalone diving boat. Hang on. Yeah. I was driving an abalone diving boat, right?
Captain Ron.
Yeah. You know what abalone are?
I do. They're like snails, right?
Shellfish.
They're big mollusks.
In New Zealand, we call them paua. So I was driving this boat in the middle of the Cook Strait, which is the piece of water that runs between the North and South Island of our fine country. And it was very windy, and I obviously had false teeth like a plate, So I was eating my lunch, eating a sandwich, and it was quite rough and very, very windy. So I put my teeth inside my lunch bag, right? And I put my teeth inside my lunch bag, and I was eating my lunch, and then I got a call from one of the divers. Hey, I need to be picked up. So, okay, cool, dude. Fucking started pulling in the anchor. But as I pulled in the anchor, it pulled me into the wind. And the wind came through and picked up the bag, my lunch bag, containing my teeth, and blew it out into Davy Jones' locker.
That is a pirate story.
Yeah. So lo and behold, now I'm stuck with no teeth and quite unattractive to the opposite sex, and henceforth, lo and behold, I'm single and have nothing.
Surely one could fashion some manner of a facsimile of teeth from various composites used in metal or model building. You're skilled in small
I
machining.
thought about building my own, but then again, I think if I was to attempt to build my own teeth, it would pretty much degenerate into me squirting araldite glue into my mouth and hoping for the best.
Create a mold. What do you have to do?
Yeah. I'll be back in about a second.
Right.
I need to go to the toilet and get another beer. We have no viewers as yet, so maybe we should post the link in the chat box.
That is a really good idea.
But I do fear that people need to be here to see the link to the link of which they already are at. So this is like Google Hangouts has totally changed, huh?
It seems to have. I'm sending the link to the SIN.
Google Plus. There we go. What's new with you? This link is new with me.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
What's new with me? Public share. Here we go. Now maybe maybe, just maybe, YouTube. And if I go to my channel, live now, and I'll click that. I'll mute it real quick. Where am I able to put the link in? Oh, here we go.
Can you post it in your YouTube channel?
And I'll paste the link in there. Channel settings, maybe. All right, I'll post the link in the channel keywords. Paste. Save. The changes are saved. Oh, good Lord, we've got a viewer.
Oh, right.
But the thing is, with fucking YouTube, you never know who that viewer is. Welcome, viewer.
Hi.
How are you doing?
If you'd like to talk to us about the topics at hand, I'd like to kind of summarize those. We're talking about how shall I put it? The theological and philosophical underpinnings of Satanism, as we see it, and the social implications of affiliating and contemplating our own personhood through the matrix of those systems. In a nutshell, we're both moderately experienced members of several groups that maintain ongoing conversations about that topic matter, and it's just something we want to continue to add quality to and give others an opportunity to join in the conversation and add to our knowledge. Hopefully, in the meantime, you'll be learning something too, and we can have a mutually beneficial exchange and record it and publish it for everyone to see. So, hope your game.
Mutual benefit.
Right on. I just invited Zach. But
Zach?
Well, I invited him. You know, I put it in his little message thing, and he's not. You know, he's not a huge "I love this kind of stuff" guy. You know,
really
so he's not about just impromptu stuff. But I'm gonna still throw it in there. So yeah. Let's see. Did you say Maggie was joining us?
I'm just inviting a bunch of people.
Okay, there's a couple people in live, but they're really they're offended by my invitation. It seems like so. It's understandable.
Do we have viewers? Oh, we have a viewer. So yeah, I mean, the Satanic Temple and their altruistic views.
Yeah, problematic, right? We've determined that that's
problematic
because altruism does not intuitively find symmetry with our interpretation of Satanism, even in general.
Our interpretation of life.
Right. How to go about living and advancing yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not congruent with that.
Hang on. I've just got a message from Dan.
Well, all right, Dan. Be great to have somebody.
It would be. It'd be great to have another view. We've got like 3 viewers, but it'd be good to have another voice.
You know, I'd like to kind of start this out too, I had some questions for you personally, just from a normal guy to guy kind of deal. So you've been making some moderate progress with Temple of the Sect of the Horn God. You've been kind of going.
Not so much progress. I've been reading a lot of what they've been doing, and what they've been posting on Facebook, and it's been like really helpful, and I've really enjoyed what they've been posting and what I've been reading. I started doing the Order of Pan, and my life kind of took a turn, as it were. I broke up with my partner of 16 years. So yeah, I haven't done as much as I would like to do with the Sect of the Horn God. But what I have seen is it is very, 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 very LaVey based.
Yeah.
And
surprising.
I find LaVey problematic. I find LaVey difficult to understand, difficult to prophetize. Like I feel like Satanists are meant to. I really have very little respect for the man. I enjoy his writing. I really do, and I'm never going to argue that LaVey was the beginning of modern Satanism as we know it. But then I find a lot of Satanists I find their distaste for being able to criticize LaVey. I find that problematic. For me personally, there's a lot to criticize, and I don't see LaVey as being the be all and end all and the center of Satanism.
So I have two. It makes me think of two questions I want to hit before we go further. Is number one, it seems like you have issues with LaVey on a character level. Maybe you've got an apprehension about him based on maybe some of the things you know about his biography or his legitimacy as maybe a leader, or the significance or integrity of his academic pursuit and the product of that. Something about him bothers you, and I think being rigorous about how you're thinking, it seems like you're trying to get down to the bottom of the source of this whole phenomenon, and something's hanging you up there. I'm curious, like, what off the cuff, what is it about the LaVey situation or the personhood or the thinking that strikes you as being insufficient, maybe, is what I'm curious about. Because I think we all struggle with that.
For me, my problem with LaVey was, or is, he wrote great words. No one can deny that the Satanic Bible is a great book, and it is the beginning of our journey. But what I take exception to is stories that I've been told, whether they're true or not. Well, one story that I was told that I really do take exception to was when LaVey wrote the Satanic Bible. and it being all about individuality and it being all about the self and worshipping of the self. And as you read the book, it that's what it's about. You know, it's about me. It's about worshiping me, and there is nothing else on this planet that can give me power like me. But then you get to the second half of the book, and there's all these satanic rituals that are meant to give you more power, which to me kind of states that, you know, if you do these rituals, then you will have more power. And that kind of puts the ritual above me. It's kind of counterintuitive to what the first half of the book was about. And I heard a story, that LaVey took the Satanic Bible to his publisher, and it was 140 something pages without the rituals. And his publisher said to him, well, it's good, but we need a little more magic. We need a little more woo into it. And LaVey took it and went, okay, cool. And took it away and came back 3 months later and had these fucking bogus rituals that he'd never spoken about before. You know, like they were never mentioned in the Satanic Bible before. But his publisher, you know, said to him, well, blah, blah, blah. I just kind of see it as being a little bit disingenuous. My other problem with LaVey is his promotion of the Church of Satan, like allowing himself to go on these fucking talk shows and letting these talk show hosts basically just ridicule him and treat him like a fool. And fair enough, he, you know, later on in his career, he reclused from all that and he saw that as well. But I mean, how many people are you going to let ridicule you and treat you like a fool before you see the fact that they're treating you like a fool? I mean, for me, it's like one. That happens once. You treat me like a fool once, you're not going to do it twice. You know, and for me, that's what the satanic philosophy is. You know, I mean, if you do that once and I learn from it, then I'm the better man. Then I've bettered myself and I've become close to my own deity, to being my own deity. Whereas LaVey let it happen once, twice, 3, 4, 5. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see any amount of simple 1960s American talk show hosts make LaVey look like an idiot.
And yet, you know, those are the two. I think that's what you hear. I think those are the notions about him that, and I'm not sure which side of this fence I'm necessarily feeling like I should land up on. I'm agreeing with you here on both points. I'd like it not to have happened where he subjected himself to like lazy pandering, entertainment based, not unscrupulous sort of examination, which resulted in him maybe being portrayed as an idiot. And I want to look at that, knowing the content of his writing and admiring his ideas and how he synthesized a great deal of complex stuff. And source material, and he put it together in a way that had never been done before, and I think it's original and useful, and it's practical, and that's more than can be said about a lot of works in this genre, that it does actually work. A lot of what he says is meaningful and useful, and we point to it constantly, and sometimes we have issues with it. And yeah, the talk show stuff is what people go to, and I think it's what's in the popular narrative about him and his biography is that question: why is there an incongruent response from a person that writes with great authority on a topic, and it prizes a ferocity about themselves and how to handle their social surroundings in a way that they dominate and convince and take control and reify the self. And then what you see in evidence is him demurring and playing the fool to some extent, and seeming to be, just his best self not coming out, and having not as much control over those situations as you would expect him to have. And I guess what I see there too is maybe the mitigating circumstances I identify surrounding all that part of it is, given the time context under which those things occurred, and his status, and in the juvenile kind of era of him developing an institution around his philosophy, I think it's understandable that in his inexperience with the media and his experimentation with how to present himself and the institution and his ideas, and knowing full well that they were going to be railed against, probably well ahead of time, before he even went on and got recorded and broadcast that way. I think he may not have had a sense of how important his image would have been, and his costume was sort of, to our standards, fairly absurd. The devil hat and the cape and things are all very like
wee horns.
They're.
I maintain completely the opposite. I think he knew. He had to know exactly how important and how contemptuous his image was. I mean, you don't get to start a church called the Church of Satan in the 1960s in San Francisco without knowing how contentious and how contemptuous it is to start that church. I mean, he knew exactly how. I mean, this was a time, 69.
The height of extremely powerful journalism, Vietnam War going on.
Yeah, and the love generation versus the church. I mean, it wasn't just fucking. It was at the time, I guess, it was Democrats, but the establishment were against hippies. It was a clash of the titans all the way through society. So he knew I believe he knew exactly how contentious naming his church the Church of Satan was going to be, and I believe that he knew exactly how powerful a image, or how powerful a role image would play in that. I mean, you could almost say that if LaVey had come up in the 80s, then you could almost say that, okay, so perhaps he didn't understand how powerful an image it was. But coming up in the mid to late 60s, like that was when black was black and Christian was Christian. Like Christianity was so well entrenched and so well devised that of course he knew how powerful an image and yet he's still. Is it naivety? Was it media naivety?
You know, I ask myself the same thing, and I wonder, after what you've said, and I'm thinking about, you know, yeah, he was intelligent, articulate. He could have well known he's walking into some type of trap, but he goes anyway, and he goes in you know, bearing the regalia of a, you know, countercultural figure. Maybe could it have been somewhat a playful sort of ruse to draw out some of the aspects of the media and those experiences and popular opinion that he was full on expecting to need to kind of get up from under the, you know, the veil of snickering, you know, rumors. And, you know, was it a way to sort of highlight the fact that I look different, and this is playful in some ways, but I have a serious agenda also. And you know, through all of that, it seems like he maintains a calm, you know, he seems to be genuine. At least in the interviews I'm thinking about, he comes off as being very straightforward. He makes reference to some mystery and, you know, some kind of sorcery kind of references, like things being, you know, just maybe the referencing kind of the occult nature of what he's, you know, kind of all about and stuff. And I'm curious if maybe he took it on as sort of a playback to them and let them have their say, you know.
I personally believe that LaVey had no idea of the serious nature and the depth of what he was writing. Well, no, that's false, and I'm wrong. Yeah, I think he was a performer, and I think people now and Satanists now take what LaVey wrote and what LaVey was trying to portray within his writings. I think we take it. I think there are people that take it a lot more seriously than what LaVey had initially, I don't want to say intended, but I think envisaged. You know, I think his vision of Satanism when he was writing the Satanic Bible, I think people now take it in a far more serious way and a far more literal way than perhaps LaVey had meant. I don't want to say that LaVey was disingenuous in what he wanted to do, because I don't believe he was. I don't believe he set out to deceive anyone. I don't believe that he set out to gain anyone's money like some kind of fucking preacher or whatever. But I think at best he misinterpreted or didn't quite realize how serious people coming after him would take what he was saying.
And I follow you there, and I wonder, when you mentioned that he was a performer and he would have known how to navigate the fairly complex, you know, waters of how he presents himself in a media outlet, and under those, you know, I guess the times in which he was doing that. I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like with the costume and the persona, the character he sort of played, he was sort of portraying a role in some ways, not ingenuously, but more playfully, or used as a mechanism to draw attention to the differences between, you know, what he was being compared to falsely, which was probably Christianity, and how he may have wanted to be drawing the attention away from the stark differences between those institutions and what he proposed to be a way of life that was going to be obviously in complete conflict to those values. And by dressing up strangely or acting, reserved or in some ways vulnerable, he certainly didn't come across well. And he also, I think, so he maybe portrayed himself as being playful because that was perhaps unexpected. Like one would expect the Prince of Darkness to show up at an interview and be hostile, rather than playful. He may have, it may have been somewhat of a curveball, and I don't want to belabor this point, but I think there's more to it than simply he's a chump getting played by a witty and humorous talk show host who simply had him on as a novelty. I think he may have known that was their intention, and I'm wondering if he just, he invited the disaster right into the forefront and said, this is what you expect, here's what you get. And yet all throughout that, what I'm going to portray, verbally, is somebody who's calm and can carefully articulate the answers to your questions with veracity, and you end up looking, the interview ultimately looks petty and dismissive of him. And I ended up feeling like I'm not sure who was played, really. I think you can look at it both ways, and I think we assume the general public would have watched that and thought, oh, this is the freak of the week. What's this? This is something that's temporary and useless, and he's a clown ultimately. But then he wasn't, and we know he wasn't. Following that, I don't think he can be categorized as some type of clown or charlatan. He certainly went on to do things that were significant and consistent and congruent with what he was already proposing to do with his literature that he was producing. So maybe that little game, I think, is often misinterpreted. And I think there's more than one dimension to analyze it from. And I just want to draw out that, from the middle ground, where I'm not a devoted apologist for him and his background and his activities or whatever. I'd like to also point out that these are the same tactics we're seeing with other satanic organizations now, where they're drawing out the inconsistencies of popular notions about belief of a certain sort, and they're using the media as their tool, and they're using it to portray the contrast that they're trying to draw out, which may forward their agenda. And it's a methodology that I think has been used used by LaVey at that time. And that's where I'd like to kind of leave it for me, because I feel like that's as nuanced an analysis I can offer without knowing more about what his intentions were. But when you look at what happened, his work before those types of things and during, and then further down the line after, and his kind of removing himself from the public eye, I think maybe that's a legitimate response. Like perhaps that makes sense.
I also believe within my criticism of LaVey, I also believe that I'm looking through 2016 eyes,
right,
at LaVey's actions. I don't know, I'm looking at it at that very point in time and his career through the kaleidoscope of what came after. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at it through my Generation X eyes.
Right.
But like you hinted at with the Satanic Temple, I think they're very much a similar beast to LaVey. I think You know, everybody criticizes the Church of Satan for $250 memberships, sitting back, doing very little, and you know, not being in the public eye, and blah blah blah. But isn't that what Satanism is? Isn't that the occult? Isn't being a Satanist an occult practice, which is occult is what, Latin or Greek for hidden,
Right.
you know?
Right.
I will be back in a very short second, Corvus. I just need to pop off and go to the toilet very quickly.
Right on.
But anyway, like, we've got 2 viewers. Please, like, post some questions. Like, take part, dude. Honestly, don't sit there and be a doofus, and like, take part.
Yeah, more than anything.
We're all pacifists.
Yeah, more than anything, the spontaneous decision to have this conversation live was, you know, the intention is certainly to invite commentary from people, and to discern, you know, what the proper, you know, at least a careful analysis of what these types of things mean to at least a couple of thoughtful people, and hopefully you're one of them. So. I think I wanted to add to something that struck me by, you know, reflecting back to what Mike was saying about LaVey having content and then bringing it to a publisher who demanded, you know, what may have been construed as fluff to be added. I think, to me, my reading of those pieces, the rituals, not only I want to make note that those rituals have been published as a separate volume to the original Bible, and that's noteworthy to me because it seems like the cohesive message of the first, you know, portion of his writings was possibly meant to stand alone. But I'm not sure to what extent in the first volume we see a clear LaVey message that his concept of the occult is a psychosomatic psychodrama, you know, like individualist sort of practice of meditation without the expectation of a supernatural intervention, because I think he comes across as being as concrete an atheist as you know, as I can imagine somebody, you know, stating that they are. And I wonder if some of his references to those practices are borrowing from his Jungian background based on the use of archetypical and ritualistic practices to summon up parts of our own psyche and gain more control over our own individual power to precognate and, you know, manifest our own will through a system that strikes us through channels that are, you know, continually being verified as legitimate means to access parts of our subconscious and operate in sort of a pseudoscientific way to access you know, parts of our psyche and our personhood that we may not be able to reach without carefully drawn up and richly, you know, practiced you know, psychodrama that might be depicted there. So my stance on that portion and, you know, into the rituals of, you know, the design of the rituals also gives groups, the grotto system, and strangers to you know, the whole philosophy, a means by which to participate, like, carnally, so that they can have an immediate experience with the philosophy rather than an incredibly just simple academic one, as far as reading a book, coming together as a community, enjoying it in a group of people that identify themselves so strongly against the mainstream thinking, may require ritual to empower them to go further and reach deeper into themselves, because it seems like those the outcomes would seem to indicate that, that may be the case. And certainly the modern conception of rituals is always revisited as that, as being a psychodrama, and not to be taken as literal sorcery of however you conceive it, but more of a drama to play out and interact with others in an organized way.
What does psychodrama mean?
What my take on that, like, I guess how I would define it is, I think it's a term for ritual. It's I think it's an attempt to take the word ritual and apply it to our modern conception of the mind. So psychodrama, an example of psychodrama is, let's use an example that you brought up earlier, where you feel a certain energy when you see your favorite football team engaging in sort of this, like kind of a pre-game pump-up kind of dance, referencing, the connectivity between the two cultures, that, this whole community ethic, that ritual of performing that dance, and it has an actual physical effect on you, where your thinking changes, and now you're feeling, probably along with all your fellows there, a little bit more connected. And that, I think that's an example of a psychodrama, when a football team does this activity, whatever, you can probably explain it better. Yeah. So they do this thing, and it raises the energy of the whole community around them, and it also references a tradition of this people interacting in a certain way. So you have this sort of kind of magic kind of thing, but it isn't supernatural magic. It's just psychology, but it's accessed through ritual.
It's really weird. I'm talking to a guy that's watching our chat, and they're chatting in the chat box, but we can't. Can you see any chat coming up in the chat box?
Sometimes we have to refresh, and I will.
Does it refresh? I'm unable to refresh. Reload. How's that?
I see you.
Oh, your mic is so much better. Your mic is now incredible.
Is it good?
Dude, you're as clear as a bell.
Delightful. Yeah, that didn't work. So I'm not sure why it's not displaying. Sometimes there's hang-ups. If you watch it from your YouTube channel.
I will copy and paste this very link to Dan and Ben. Dan is one guy that is watching, that you probably know, Corvus, as Nords from Sin. Are you there? Yeah, Nord. He lives in Ice in Norway. Oh, Norse. There he is. It's Norse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Join our chat, Norse. Like, fucking jump in. If you don't have a cam, I'm sure you got a mic or something. But yeah, it's tricky as far as LeVay goes. He came up and he did his thing in a time where, if you were living in San Francisco or LA, then it was kind of easy to meet the celebs, and obviously that's who you wanted to be with. And I do believe it is very easy for us to see through 2016 eyes cynically. But, you know, that leads us on to the Satanic Temple and how they are conducting themselves.
Right.
In 2016.
Right. So what we see here, I think, is an updated version of, I'm identifying some updated version of like the LaVeyan approach to, you know, like the guerrilla media, hack media kind of, you know, I referenced the unveiling ceremony where the media was all drawn to a certain location, and then of course the legitimate people who the event was designed for were given instructions to, you know, shake off the media and go do their own thing and party and so forth, which I think was a deliberate play to de-emphasize the role of the media in that event. It was almost as though they made it to be what was going to be this ridiculously, you know, amazing spectacle, and the media was just drooling to be there, and then they cheap shotted them, and you know, they stole that away from them, and they took control over the message for themselves. So it's like they're illustrating that they're cognizant of the fact that the media will co-opt their narrative and reshape it to their own devices, and then they use a simple tactic of redirection to, you know, to manipulate them back and kind of remain mysterious but assert their power over that. So I wonder if most of what they do is going to take on that kind of that persona of, we do what we want in front of you to give you what you want to know, and then, you know, they have a style of ploy that keeps repeating itself, right? These, you know, contentious, you know, like controversial, but
that
overtly.
In respect to the unveiling ceremony, yes, you are absolutely right. But like in respect to the Satanic Temple's core values and the way they can conduct themselves in day-to-day interactions with the media and the public, do you think that they are going about it the right way? Do you think the Satanic Temple are obviously the most visible of satanic organizations? Do they represent our core values accurately?
Yeah, then I want to answer that question. I'm not trying to dodge it, but I think what we run into is the greater problem of even coming to a consensus of what those values are, right? I mean, it seems like there's at least two schools overtly vying for, you know, dominance over that. They want, you know, Satanic Temple has their, you know, their social agenda with confronting, you know, state and religion issues, and I think there's a lot of good things that could be done with that. You know, I don't know if I can come across as saying I don't necessarily have an opinion over the style. I think it's confrontational. It's definitely attention seeking. But I think that forwards their agenda to draw attention from people who wouldn't otherwise conceive of an organization calling themselves the Satanic Temple as being one that would confront, like, clearly unjust applications and contradictions in those applications of, you know, right, how to allow a balance of the state, and the institutions of, the predominant powerful Christian organizations and churches that infiltrate every little aspect of, everyday life. It seems like they pick and choose their battles to some extent, and they like to confront the public spectacle of Christianity being kind of slid under the veil of, like, we're all supposed to assume that this is the norm, when it's really not okay to foist those values on people who might otherwise have a different opinion, unless they spent a life of being indoctrinated and just learning to accept and be cowed by it because of the overwhelming, presence of that institution in their lives. I like that they pick that away, but I question whether their motives are to serve as an altruistic organization to make things better for everybody, or if they think that will develop a better vehicle for individuals to access reclaiming their own power by virtue of those spectacles. It's hard to say. I don't know. Maybe both. What is your opinion? I mean, what do you think? It seems like you have a pretty strong kind of feeling about it,
As far as the unveiling goes of the monument, and bearing in mind that I live in New Zealand,
right.
which, we don't have the vitriolic stance of America and of the States. I think in respect to the unveiling and telling people to turn up to this address and then giving them directions to another event, I think that was awesome. I think that was the brilliant way to do it. But also in respect to the unveiling, it was an unveiling of a satanic monument, and a very important satanic monument in not just recent satanic history, but in ancient. There's never been a group of people that have stood up to the hierarchy and the Christians like the Satanic Temple has. And with a monument that was dedicated to not just satanic principles, but the political principles in which it was created, or for which it was created for. What I didn't like about the unveiling was, like Lucian Greaves got up and spoke very eloquently and spoke very well about the principles of Satanism and the principles of the Satanic Temple, and then sort of stood back from the pulpit, and then two guys came from either side of the monument and kissed and had like a good old snog. I didn't like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm fucking homophobic at all. Like, I just didn't see the relevance of the very first thing, the very first expression of the monument was to have a same-sex couple kissing, like satanically. I didn't. There's no relevance there. I mean, if you're standing up for gay rights issues, then cool, totally fucking sweet. and for a satanic organization to stand up for gay rights issues, totally cool. You know, like, got no beef with that at all. But it just kind of, it struck me as what really was the most important and the most prominent move that the satanic community have ever made in history, bar the writing and the releasing and the publishing of the Satanic Bible. It just struck me as kind of, I don't know, kind of weird that the very first thing after the unveiling would be a same-sex couple having a pash. And pash is New Zealand slang for a good solid snog.
Which is what? Like snog?
A snog is like a big, long, deep, full-throated tongue kiss.
All right.
And that seems to be a trend or a pattern that the Satanic Temple have adopted, which is cool. I mean, as I say, I got no beef with LGBT or LGBT rights. You know, of course they should be awarded the same rights as us, or as anybody else, not us, because that still separates us from them. They should be, of course, they should be awarded exactly the same kind of rights as anybody else on this planet. I mean, you like brunettes, I like blondes. How should that make us different? You know, it just seems like, it just seems weird and kind of narrow. I don't want to say narrow-minded, but it seems a narrow vision of the Satanic Temple's goals to totally adopt the rights of same-sex couples in Satanism. And I also think that within doing that, that's almost doing Satanism, or it's almost doing same-sex couples almost a disservice. You know, I mean, Christians already think that same-sex couples are of the devil. So linking same-sex couples to the Satanic Temple, like they have, because that wasn't the only occasion that that's happened. You know, I think there was a prayer on the steps of some city hall somewhere where it was the same thing. Like, they said their prayer, they said their incantation, they did what they had to do, and then two guys come out, and I'm pretty sure it was the same two guys came out and kissed. It seems to me that that's a little bit of a disservice to both communities, the same-sex couple community or the LGBT community, as well as the Satanic community. You know, we're kind of linking ourselves together for no real apparent reason. There's no reason why LGBT community would want to be linked with the Satanic community, apart from the Satanic community being the only community out there that are really standing up via the Satanic Temple, the TST, and standing up and saying, hey, this is what we believe. I don't know, it seems to me, it seems that the Satanic Temple are doing what they do or the Satanic Temple alone, which is fine, but they're including, by my count in this conversation, two other groups of people, which are the LGBT community plus the Satanic community, and they're including them all in the one without either community really being consulted by what they're doing. Welcome, Zach.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. Good, good. Thank you for popping on by.
Yeah, for sure, man. Sorry I had a late night at the pub. Just got back.
That's all good, dude. I'm having a late night on the beers at home. And there's a huge text thing there that I feel someone should read.
Oh, that was I just put up their tenets of membership so
that was
that
you.
we
Okay.
could reference them. Yeah, I apologize. It was huge, and I thought it was gonna be less. I would point out that while I share your anxiety about how the application of the social convention of a gay kiss is like in some ways maybe co-opting the controversial nature of what should maybe ideally be considered a very ordinary act, and then kind of drumming up the vitriol about, you know, this is so radical it needs to be included in an unveiling of a, you know, obviously like controversial whatever, like big event.
The whole reason for the monument in the first place was to separate church and state. You know, that's why they spent however many hundreds of thousands of dollars on the monument. Was, you know, that was the reason for it, not to fucking not to advance LGBT rights. You know, I'm pretty sure if you go to the LGBT community and say, hey, the Satanists, we're going to help you. We're on board with what you want. I'm pretty sure the LGBT community as a whole are going to go like, no, we'll be fine. We can do it on our own.
I think some will, but I think that it's nice that the opportunity exists for the some that might say, thanks for the support, and, you know, it's whatever. Like, there's drama, it was involved, like, you know, just in general, just being grateful for inclusion or whatever.
Yeah.
There's going to be a sector of that community that says, you took the opportunity to highlight, you know, this symbol of, you know, advancing culture to the point where it should be completely acceptable for people to do this according to the, you know, the temple. And the temple's just kind of made this free-for-all space and invited something into it, maybe to form an alliance and to kind of highlight their social agenda and their inclusion of, you know, because it seems like they're going to run with that. Like, it definitely, the literature and sort of the, I don't know, their image is definitely comes along with a heavy feeling of LGBT communities should be involved at some point. I think there's a sector of that community that's going to be cool.
Oh, gentlemen. Okay, we're talking about the Baptist. First, though, I was appointed a minister in the Satanic Temple in 2014. I ran the Portland, Oregon chapter. I was behind them all the way before the monument actually got built. The reason the monument got built was, as Mike said, to separate the church and state, and because the Oklahoma Capitol had the Ten Commandments monument. I said, oh, well, then we're going to put our Satanic monument. They fought all the way to the Supreme Court. It cost $60,000 to have a 1,000-foot tall statue of Baphomet coated in bronze. Coated, not solid. Coated in bronze. But here's the kicker. out of that. It was mainly a crowdsourcing fund bank, or crowdsourcing, and actually ended up happening is $40,000. 40,000. Let me stop this shit. Playing bullshit. $40,000 was donated from the Jewish American Association League. So the Jews paid $40,000 to Satanists to fight the Christians. Wrap your brain around that. I guess we do the dirty work for them.
Someone's got to do it, right? There's no getting around it.
That's quite the thing.
I feel fulfilled having done that.
That is quite the thing.
But I don't think that
I didn't find this out until a few months ago. Yeah.
That sort of supports kind of where I'm going with it. I think that maybe, the situation may be that Jews, any kind of marginalized group, is going to be, allied with them in the unified mission to confront, like, the overbearing Christian gestures that that are always being foisted into state areas, right? Like, the state is someplace where we're supposed to assume that we're going to be treated under the law, regardless of our affiliation with religious and sexual orientation. And when the state allows one institution to, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but to put this gigantic statue embodying values that maybe nobody really is cool with anymore, but to confront that seems to be an agenda that is shared by a great many groups, and maybe the temple's gesture to include that symbolic kind of deal going on with the unveiling makes it seem to me that that's just one of many activities that they just want to, like, say, hey, this is okay, like, it shouldn't be a big deal. And church versus, the church and state issues affect gay people all the time with marriage rights and stuff too. So
I think that if the TST are about saying, hey, look, this is no big deal, then the Satanic Temple shouldn't say anything, because the Satanic Temple are a big deal to people outside of our circle, to people that aren't Satanists, that don't understand what the Satanic Temple are doing. The Satanic Temple are a huge deal. Satanism is a huge deal. So, like, if you want to promote the fact that LGBT rights are no big deal, or fucking church and state is no big deal, then you, as the Satanic Temple, shut the fuck up about it. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, people that see it as already half a deal before the Satanic Temple have said so are going to hear the Satanic Temple saying so, and, oh my God, that's enormous. Oh, LGBT rights, are you kidding me? The Satanic Temple are telling me that that's not a big deal. That's enormous. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just elevates it to a huge deal.
Maybe not so much.
I understand what you're saying, but let me just drop this in about the Satanic Temple. Some of the original founding members were Satanists, but the Satanic Temple has become an atheist, left-wing, liberal movement that uses Satanism to push their propaganda. And I don't necessarily disagree with the propaganda, but there's very little Satanism left in the Satanic Temple. It's mainly run by attention-seeking atheists that are using satanic symbols and catchphrases and manipulating politics. The Satanic Temple is not a satanic organization.
There is absolutely no left-hand path in the Satanic Temple. Absolutely none. Left-hand path, like, the Satanic Temple are a right-hand path satanic organization.
Yes.
You know? And Satanism is a left-hand path. You know? Hence, Zach, you were invited to speak at the Left Hand Path Consortium. And how did that go, by the way? How was that? Was like awesome or what? Like, give us a rundown, brother.
I'll put it in a nutshell. It was a very long week. I showed up early. I left late. Yeah. The hosts were fighting with each other because they were ex-lovers, and they had first time they'd seen each other in months. And the main host was like fucking, when I say piss drunk, I mean piss drunk, like he literally pissed himself, and he couldn't go up on stage to give his presentation because he was so fucking fucked up. So I had to like fill in for him and give 2 presentations. It was a bunch of drama. Some weird chick was in my hotel. The main host, 23-year-old girlfriend, and he's 65 or something like that.
Wow.
He brought her over. We were drinking beer. And he just bought her this $25,000 Audi because he's rich and he's having a midlife crisis, and I get it. But then the bitch started, in my presence, started saying like, "Oh, I really like the car, but it's gold. I really want silver. I think I'm going to have it painted." Of course, which means he's going to have it painted. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You fucking cunt. This man, you're using this man. Get the fuck out of my hotel room now." And she's like, "You can't talk to me like that." I said, "Really?" Because I just did. "Really?" She's like, "You don't know me." I was like, "I don't know you. And I don't want to know you, but I know your fucking type, you fucking skank. Get the fuck out of here." And I threw them out, and we almost got into a fight in the parking lot. So it was a clusterfuck. It was a clusterfuck. But, you know,
Go.
good. It's good. It's on my Facebook. I'm trying to get the guy who recorded it to upload it to YouTube, but he, for some reason, can't figure out how to do that. But it went well, man. Yeah, it went well. In fact, the next one's going to be in Argentina.
There's a video of the presentation.
Absolutely, it's on my YouTube. If you probably have to scroll down. Sorry, not my YouTube, my Facebook. It's on my page.
Feel free to.
Yeah, man, it's okay.
Post a link, man. Post a link, and I'll put the link under this.
Sure. Let me go find it, man. Yeah, man. But the next one's going to be in Argentina.
Argentina.
And, the host was like, I know. I'm like, guys, can you like get me like any further away from California? Like now we're traveling like to the moon and shit to give our presentation. What the fuck? They're like, Zach, it's a guy named Edgar. He's an artist and a magician, and him and I got along really good. And now he's gonna host it in Argentina where he lives, and he's like, get Zach to come. I'll buy his ticket. I'll pay for his hotel. Whatever. So I'll go to the next one if that's the case. They're gonna lose. They lost their ass in this last one because we expected 450 people to show up, and we got like 150 people. So they like lost like $30,000, man. But they was poorly managed. They made a lot of mistakes, and they could have put that on for like, if they would have done it correctly, for like 5,000, and they spent 50.
Wow.
So yeah, they lost their ass, but that's not my money. What the fuck? I was just there to have a good time. It was cool though, man. I got to party with a couple chicks.
You saw a lot of the presenters.
It was cool.
You saw a lot of the presenters. You saw like Jake Block and you know.
Oh man, don't even get me started on Jake. Jake reason hates me. Well, I know I hate
live, by the way, Zach. This is going live.
Live on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I don't care.
We'll talk about
like
later.
I would say this to Jake too if he was in the room. because he feels that I misrepresent Satanism. He feels that because of my drinking, my excessive drinking, my occasional drug use, and then I'm in a position to influence a lot of people, he feels that I misrepresent Satanism. But he's an old school Satanist, man. He's from like the 70s. This is not.
Well, he hung out with LeVay, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but so, like, I saw him, and I was like, you know, Jake and I used to be close. He used to come in and chat, like, a few years. We're close, man. I've heard, he gave his presentation. I heard his presentation like fucking 400 times already. And I said, Jake, it's finally an honor to meet you. And he's like, you want to shake my hand, Zach? I said, why? He goes, if you want to fight, let's. I said, Jake, mind you, Jake's 67, okay? I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm 39. And, like, he was so beat right in the face. And he wasn't walking up and down stairs. He wasn't carrying any luggage. He's just fucking old. He's on his fucking deathbed. And I was like, Jake, I don't want to fight. I'm here to shake your hand, man. I'm honored to meet you. And he did reluctantly. And then he's like, you know you call me Anton LaVey's butler? I said, I did? Because I don't recall that. I remember Zier, the 600 Club, called you Anton LaVey's laundryman. But I think you got me confused, Jake. And he goes, no, you posted it. I said, well, Jake, if I did, that was like several years ago, at least 2 years ago, and I apologize, man to man. I apologize. Maybe I was drunk and forgot. Doesn't sound like something I'd say, but I apologize. He didn't accept my apology, but whatever.
I just want to give a shout out to our loyal chat folks out there in the YouTubes. We have Altered Mover Xbox, and Altered Mover is asking, okay, what's the difference between old school Satanism and new school Satanism, guys? I just want to add that as an aside also, earlier and attached to the LGBT commentary we were running, Daniel K. mentioned, I am a member of the LGBT community, and while I'm happy they're fighting for equality, I do feel that the way they use gay kisses is kind of dumb. Like they're saying, look how much freedom we have. So I think that's kind of congruent with what Mike was forwarding.
Yeah.
But as to the question of new school, old school, what do you think, Zach? Like, what are the main distinctions? Did he just walk out of the room? Oh no. Alone. I think, ultimately what we're going to see as the main divide between old school and new school is Temple versus LaVey. Those are the lines we're going to see drawn ultimately.
Do you think?
I think to answer the question of what are the differences we're going to see between old school and new school, don't you think the conflict is going to fall along the lines of LaVey versus Temple, like that those philosophies clashing?
I kind of see that as a clash between left and right wing.
Right.
Politically.
So you're not willing.
For me, the distinction between old school and new school Satanism is old school is the satanic tenets and the nine satanic tenets and the 13 satanic sins.
Right.
Versus, for me, what Satanism means to me. You know, there are satanic tenets in the Bible that I totally and utterly don't agree with at all. You know, I think New School Satanism is what Satanism means to you, means to the individual, as opposed to the COS or the TST or the guy standing next to you or the book that you last read.
Right.
You know, it's like, as I said in my last video, you know, like we all stand up and jump up and down about being an individual and Satanism being an individualistic endeavor, says the guy that's a member of the Satanic Church or the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple or blah blah blah. I think New School Satanism is going to be the individual. I think New School Satanism is going to be an acceptance of the concept of my Satanism being totally different to your Satanism. Boom.
Oh, Michael, you're gonna kick out of this, man. The Church of Satan and I made a blog about it, and a link about it on Sin, and a link about it on Facebook. They revised their satanic bunko sheet, and they said, pay no attention to, and they capitalized the words, silly intercommunication works, which spells out sin. So they like took a pot shot at us. Like it was like, what? Really? I thought that was funny. I kind of feel flattered though. Like apparently they feel enough threatened by us enough that they would,
well, they have,
you know, so they don't get sued. They call it silly intercommunications networks. Sin.
It's retarded, dude. I mean, Zach, what do you think is the difference between old school and new school Satanism? Is there a difference?
Difference is that the old school Satanists like hold on, like Anton LaVey says, like he's like basically the fucking Jesus Christ of Satanism, and it's like taking what we wanted from LaVey and Satanism and have incorporated it into modern world, and these other people just worship LaVey and they hold on to him just like fucking Jesus Christ. And so if you do anything that LaVey doesn't like LaVey didn't drink, LaVey didn't do drugs, that's cool. You don't want to drink or do drugs, then fucking don't. It doesn't make you any less or more of a Satanist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's cool. But yeah, so they shake their fingers. They're old school. Like they're like, back in my day, it was not rock and roll music. It's like, yeah, fuck you. You know, that was back in the '60s. You know, that was 50 years ago.
I also think a major difference between old school and new school Satanism is going to be the use of ritual. I think ritual takes less and less and less of a part of Satanism, of modern Satanism, of new school Satanism. I don't think, like, I don't perform ritual. I don't believe in ritual. I think it like that's the hocus pocus, the woo part of Satanism that I find kind of silly. I don't like, people say, oh no, it's psychodrama. Well, define psychodrama. What is psychodrama? What does it mean? And they can't, you know. Like for me, ritual has absolutely no place. Satanism is a religion of the flesh, and that includes our brain. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about it. You know, oh, fuck, the words fail me. But you know, I think ritual is going to become less and less a part of Satanism. I think Satanism is going to become more and more of a philosophy as opposed to a religion, more and more an accessible way of life without the psychodrama, without the fucking hocus pocus. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and the truth be known is, it's, after LaVey died, it was the cat like got out of the bag as he was dead. Is the whole thing about magic and ritual, the whole the book, the Satanic Rituals. He presented the Satanic Bible without most of the ritual and magic stuff, and they said, "Yeah, we'll buy this, we'll publish this, but you have to ask them about magic." And so he actually took a lot from Crowley and other places, and Crowley or whatever. And yeah, and so it was kind of like an afterthought, and I think he just had to roll with it to make money. I don't think he really was serious about it. And according to Michael Aquino, Aquino separated with LaVey, which was LaVey's like right-hand man, because Aquino actually believed in ritual and magic and was more theistic, and LaVey was not, and so they separated. And the old school guys, though, I think they're just more like, oh, well, LaVey didn't like this, and LaVey didn't like that. It's like, yeah, LaVey didn't wear deodorant because he liked to let off his musky scent because he felt it attracted women. LaVey also liked overweight blonde chicks. Does that mean that you're not a Satanist if you're into skinny redheads?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it gets under like, it gets into splinters, and it's like, yeah, whatever. And, but you know what it really comes down to, though, Mike, is it's the old school Satanists to the bullies on the block. Like they, have like the block,
Yeah.
and now they're getting old, they're getting fat, and now there's a lot of new contenders, especially with the internet. Now that we can communicate, and they don't want to lose their position. They want to be known as the ones. But let's face it, I mean, if anything is to evolve, any philosophy, any religion, however you want to look at it, it has to evolve with the times. And so now there's a whole other, there's 2 generations since LaVey that are gunning for it. You have the Satanic Temple, you have Sin, you have the Temple of Set, you have a lot of other people, and they're just like, fuck you guys, you're all real Satanists, because that's all they could really do. That's all they can really say. And how can you defend against that? That's like, how can you defend against, oh, you're not a real Satanist? Oh, why? Because I wear deodorant and I like little petite redhead girls instead of big fat blonde girls? Oh, because LaVey did it like that. Like, LaVey. I like to drink. I like to smoke weed. Who cares? Like, it doesn't make me any less of a Satanist. So there's that jostling. They don't want to let go of the power, but they have time. They're either going to die or they're going to get tossed out.
What kind of bothers me is the fact that there are a new set of Church of Satan guys coming up, and they are of the firm belief that the Church of Satan are the only ones that can define Satanism. Like, if you don't Satanist like the Church of Satan think you should Satanist, then you're not a Satanist. That bugs me. Like, like Zach, you've known me for a while, and Corvus, you've known me for a while. I'm totally of the mindset that my Satanism is totally different to Zach's Satanism and your Satanism, Corvus, and vice versa. You know, the way Satanism applies to our own separate lives is totally different from case to case. You know, like for the Church of Satan, and especially the young guys, the new guys, the dudes that are going to take over from Peter, whatever his name is. You know, like they're saying that the COS are the only ones that can define Satanism because the COS comes from LaVey. And I cannot disagree with that anymore, sounding like a fucking argumentative douchebag. You know, and that bugs me. That's like, how dare you say that I'm not a Satanist because I don't and I don't Satanism the way you want me to Satanist, you know?
Well, originally when Peter Gilmore took over, he did post something on the Church of Satan's website, and he basically said what you're saying. He basically, in a roundabout, long-winded way, said, if you're not part of the Church of Satan, you're not a real Satanist. That's basically what he was saying. And that was bullshit. But he went back and revised that because he got knocked so hard on that from other Satanists. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. But, you know, the Church of Satan has just become a business machine. They sell merchandise, they sell memberships, and that's what they're living off of. And that's why he said that. But he recanted because he got knocked by too many people. I met this guy at the consortium, a guy named Corvus Nocturnum. Something I forget. You know, but he's like totally like he's part of the administration of the Church of Satan, and they want to be part of that. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Zach Black is it infamous to who?" He goes, "You don't know?" I said, "Never the administration of the Church of Satan." I said, "Oh, congratulations." From 94 to 2010 for 6 before. Like, about 6-7 years. I said, "Yes, what do you want to talk about?" But he was a cool guy. Like, we weren't like beefing. He was just like introducing himself and stuff. He goes, "Dude, what did you do to get on Peter Gilmore's shit list?" Like, what do you mean? He's like, "Dude, you're like less than 10 people on the blacklist, and you're like number 3. Like, really? He's like, "Yeah." He's like, because Peter Gilmore released a personal private message to all the administration saying if these people will kick you. I said, "Really?" And I'm on that. He's like, "Yeah, you're like number 3. I was like, "Number 3? Fuck, I'm not trying hard enough. I should be number 1. But okay." And then you want to be part of an organization like that? You want to be part of an organization like some fucking high school fucking clique where they're like, "You can't be friends with him or you can't be friends with me." Like, dude, why would you be part of that? And he's like, "Why does Peter Gilmore?" He's like, "I want to be part of it. I'm part of my career, you know, blah blah blah." I said, okay. You got your personal reasons. That's cool. Tell you who you can and cannot talk to. He's like, "No, I don't, and that's why I'm talking to you right now." We kind of went back and forth a little bit about that, and then he was just like, we ended up getting a picture taken together, and because I convinced him, I'm like, fuck the Church of Satan. If you're cool with them, that's cool. I don't dislike the Church of Satan, but I just like the fact they tell you that you can't like be friends with me. You and I are getting along fine. We're having a glass of wine together. It's just, you know, you know, fucking hang out. And then, yeah. It just came, they have a whole fucking blacklist of, I didn't even ask who else was on it. I can guess a few of them, but
See, that's
fucking high school.
man. Like, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I've seen a good friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine that we've had many a deep discussion about the COS and about the TST and about Satanism in general. You know, and I've seen this good friend of mine do a complete 180 and go back in the other direction as far as the COS go. And it disappoints me. It bums me out because it's just so, it's weak. It's weak. It's a weakness, you know. And I like
Mike,
this.
Mike, I can tell you why. Mike, I can tell you why. What happened? I can tell you exactly why the COS is doing what they did. Because LaVey died in '97. For about 4 years, there was an administration. Thumra LaVey, which is Anton LaVey's first daughter, Blanche Barton, and Peter Gilmore. And Carla LaVey unfortunately lost. And the estate of the Church of Satan went to Blanche Barton, which is a complicated deal because Blanche Barton at the time was in a state of financial disarray. And I know this because I know people that were around at the time in the Church of Satan who were up towards the top. Mainly Zier from the 600 Club, who's good friends with Carla. Carla sued Blanche Barton for the Church of Satan. She lost because LaVey in his will said he left his estate to Blanche Barton, which is supposed to be, the high priesthood was supposed to be passed off to her son, which was LaVey's son too. He used to go by Satan Xerxes Carnacki LaVey, which was his name. He changed his name legally to Eric. Eric Barton. And he actually lives about 20 minutes away from me. I just can't find the guy. I've looked. I did talk to him in email, and he doesn't want to be found. He doesn't want anything to do with Satanism. So Blanche Barton, basically being in a state of financial disarray, she gave the Church of Satan to Peter Gilmore because Peter Gilmore supported her and Anton LaVey's son, which was at the time a child. And so as a gesture of respect, she still owns the Church of Satan, but Peter Gilmore is now the face. But Anton LaVey never wanted Peter Gilmore to be the high priest. He wanted Boyd Wright, and there was like 3 or 4 other people that he had picked. But that's how it worked out. But the courts decided that because the way the will was written, it's actually Blanche Barton's. And now that his son, Eric Burton, doesn't want it, basically it's now Peter Gilmore. She basically sold it to him to support her.
Essentially, that's like fucking human drama, Days of Our Lives, kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, what bugs me is when I see intelligent men, and you know who I refer to, Zach. When you see intelligent men, good men, good men, turn and spin their whole belief system around because they've been able to interview a bunch of COS members. And it's a bummer. It bums me out. It's like Tex, come on, man.
I'm not sure if we're talking about the same person, but I did get to meet a guy that does refer by himself as Tex. He was at the Left of Path Consortium.
Yeah.
Blake Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a Satanist. He didn't turn himself around. He said that because his work caught wind of his YouTube. It was busting his balls about Satanism. So he like made a show. But he contacted a lot of us in private and was like, this is all for show. I don't want to lose my job. I got a family. You know, but he showed up at the Left Hand Path Consortium. He stayed there, and he drove like 6 hours just to be there. So
yeah, I know. But when Blake interviewed you, Zach, there was no COS. You know, the COS had laughed him out of town, and they ridiculed him, and they made him feel small. And this is going live, and I know this is going live. I really hope Kev sees this because I care for him. I consider him a friend. But then you see him interviewing COS members. You know, he left the TST, which is cool. Whatever. I'm no TST fan myself. But it bugged me because he said himself that the COS are the only ones that can define Satanism. And that bugs me. That, like, no, that's so wrong. And it's so obviously wrong because Satanism is about the individual. So, therefore, it's the individual that defines Satanism. It's the individual practitioner that defines Satanism. My Satanism is totally different from your Satanism. Satanism means a completely different thing to me than it means to me, and that it means to you, Corvus, and that it means to you, Corvus, and that it means to you. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, honestly, man, I never had a chance to talk to him about that.
I love
kind of ignorant towards what he on a person, man. But what you're talking about, I never got in depth with him about. So,
I dig Tex and I like him, and you know, I don't like seeing friends and friends that I respect doing 180. You know, I mean, Zach, if you turned around and fucking spent the $250 and joined the COS, I would say exactly the same thing. And face to face. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and that I can guarantee that's never gonna fucking happen.
No.
But let me tell you this, man. I recently got fired from my job after they gave me a $2 an hour raise and made me the head chef for being a Satanist. Some internet troll called and said that I harassed them. Well, that's cool because we have a pending lawsuit for $100,000, and the place that I work for is actually your client want, which is a very good sign, which means they have no case to my manager. Although the order came from the top, way above him. He's like, dude, there's no evidence that you did anything. We checked into their background, the persons at the email. It's all bogus. He's like, it's bogus, but I can't save your job. I'm sorry. And so my lawyer said, you know, it's a violation of the American Civil Liberties Act because you can't fire somebody for being a Satanist, just like you can't fire somebody for being a Christian or a Jew. And Satanism is a recognized religion. And since they have no evidence about this alleged person that I harassed, which I have zero evidence of because it never happened, It's just some fucking person that sent an email and made a phone call on the internet. Well, so we're suing for $100,000. So, but he's like very confident. And the funny thing, Mike, was he's a Jewish lawyer, and I asked him. I said, so, because he looked at my Facebook and my internet and network and YouTube, you know, because he's like, show me what they sent them. And I knew what they sent him because my boss told me. So I said, this is what they sent him. And at first he was kind of reluctant to take my case, like, I don't know. And then when he saw my shit, he's like, dude, you're kind of high profile, man. This is a big fucking deal. Like, I'll take your case. I'll take your case. It'll cost you 40% though. So we'll sue for $100,000 when we get it.
40%.
Well, I asked him. I said, why don't we just sue for a fucking $1 million, man? You know, let's just make it a. I looked into their insurance policy after you showed me what the information they have. He's like, their insurance policy won't settle for anything over $100,000. We'd have to drag this out. It could take years. It's like, if we ask for $100,000 to us, so there we go away. And I said to him, he's Jewish, and I said to him, I said, is there a problem you being Jewish and represent a Satanist? And he goes, sir, that is between you and your God. I'm here to seek justice and get paid. I was like, my nigga.
You see, Zach, I would have fired you. You're damn straight I would have fired you, but I would have fired you to look like Tintin.
Well, the thing is they did violate California as a right-to-work state. So the problem is that they fucked up on is they put in my termination letter, in the letter that they gave me when they fired me, that they handed me that I had to sign, is they mentioned the word Satanism. And they mentioned the fact that they said it twice, said Satanism, and then they said Satanist. So, and then all the evidence that they said that I violated social media policy, that I harassed a customer, none of that was factual because it never fucking happened. The only thing that's factual in my termination letter is that I am a Satanist. So, when you erase the non-facts, Satanist. Okay, I just got a $2 an hour raise and was promoted to head chef. Clearly, there was no attendance problems. I've never been written up. Was never late to work once in 5 months. Never late to work once. I just got a raise. So they fucked up major by putting the word Satanist in there. And see, most people don't think Satanism is a religion. And although I consider it more of a philosophy and a lifestyle, well, it's a recognized religion since 1975 in the U.S. military. So it is a recognized religion and is protected by the same laws, just like Jews, just like Christians, just like Muslims, Buddhists. So they fired me for being a Satanist is basically what's left standing. And you can't do that. Just like I can't fire you for being Australian. I'm sorry, New Zealand. I can't fire you for having long hair, you fucking hippie. I can't, you know.
I can't wait till I get to San Diego because I am going to beat the fucking black out of you, Zach Black.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Satanism is recognized as a world religion.
Well, I don't know if every country recognizes it as a religion. I know the United States does. As of 1975, the U.S. military recognizes it. So if you join the Army or the Marines or the Air Force or the Navy, when you register for the armed services and you get accepted, there's a checklist of like fucking 50 fucking different religions. And Satanism is one of them you can check. It's an established, recognized religion that was fought for, and the court of law recognizes it for the military. so it's recognized by the U.S. military, then it is considered a religion.
Should Satanism be exempt from the temple like Christianity?
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you.
Should Satanism be exempt from the tax laws like Christianity is?
No. I think that if you're going to run a church, like, because you should pay taxes. And I think all churches should pay taxes. And if they did, the national deficit would be wiped out within a year.
Yeah.
For all the money they make. So I would say that's one of the tenets is that we think that religion should be taxed. Well, then it'd be hypocritical to say that we shouldn't be taxed too. So yeah, I agree. I think every religion should be taxed. Absolutely.
I'm happy to hear you say that, brother. Because I know your stance on the minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do agree with minimum wage, and I do think it should be increased. Especially, I live in one of the most expensive places to live in the United States. It's like the 4th or 5th most expensive place to live, city. I can't get by a minimum wage. Nobody could, and live independently. You'd have to live with, family and roommates. But you know what? Then maybe you shouldn't live on the fucking beach, in fucking paradise here. Maybe you gotta go live in the South. The other poor people. That's fine. Unless you make more money. But yeah,
So
I'm for increasing the wage. I'm just not for doing it overnight.
Basically herd people into a certain region because of the amount of money they make.
Yeah, if people at McDonald's, if they're asking for minimum wage to be increased to $15 an hour. I make more than $15 an hour, although I'm an employee now. But I had to fight for $13 an hour, tooth and nail, and I've been a chef for 15 years. I mean, and granted, I do make tips, so I make more than 15. I make about 20 to 25 with my tips. But I had my hourly pay on paper, on my paycheck, I had to fight for $13 an hour, and now you're saying that these fucking 18-year-old kids that are flipping fucking burgers at McDonald's are going to get $15 an hour overnight? Fuck that. Because you know what? I might get $15 an hour too, but I've worked for fucking 15 years. They're not going to give me $19 an hour. They're not going to make up, for the increase. No.
But
fuck that.
Wouldn't it be nice just to Oh, hang on.
Win the lottery.
I'm looking at it as an
I'll be right back.
back.
Yeah, I'll be right back, man. I'm gonna smoke.
Cool, bro.
Actually, real quick though, that this sushi reality show was the dude was like, hey, my boss, the big boss who actually has the money, it's like, hey, he's like, we're selling this to either the Food Network or Bravo. I've got 2 offers on the table. I'm not happy with what they offer me. I want more money, so we're making more episodes, and we're going to come back with them with more. He goes, but depending on our contract, if we can sign a contract that gives us X amount of episodes, 2 or 3 guaranteed seasons, and they pay us in advance, he's like, I need a regular crew. I need a regular crew, and my homeboy, his name was Kuro. Kuro. He's Japanese. He's a really cool guy, Japanese American, but he's Japanese. Kuro speaks fluent Japanese. He's like, we need more chefs. And Kuro, you're the only chef that he liked out of the 4 or 5 that we've had other episodes with in different cities. He said that you're the only chef that he actually likes working with. And he goes like, you do well on camera, you're not comfortable, you're not nervous, blah, 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 blah. Basically offered me a job. It was like, if they pick up our contract and we, get signed up for more than 1 season, because he's like, we almost have 1 season full. He's like, will you be cool? I'll put you on payroll, and you'll be Kuro's assistant, and you'll travel around the United States, possibly the world, if we can pick up some shit in the UK, if we can pick up some shit in Australia, pick up shit in Canada, Mexico. It's like, and you and Kuro will be like the main 2, and we'll battle it out. It's like, fuck yeah, brother. I'll do that. I'll travel around. I said, on your dime, right? He's like, absolutely on my dime. I was like, yeah, I'll go down there and fucking battle some Mexican chefs. I'll go down and fuck those Canadians up. Yeah.
How you doing, Corvus?
Man, I'm passing out. I'm gonna have to cut out.
You're gone, brother?
Unfortunately, I've been nodding off. I'm sure that's all on video now. So.
I haven't seen you. I haven't seen it happen.
I hate to leave you hanging, but I'm definitely gonna crash.
That's cool, bro.
I enjoyed talking to you again. I hope we get together very soon.
We will. I hope so.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
All right, brother.
Peace out.
All right, brother. So we have 3 viewers. If any of your viewers want to fucking come in and join the conversation, there's the link. Blast on in. I'm picking one of our viewers as Daniel North. I saw him pop in earlier. Oh, look, Zach, you got to turn your shit down, dude. Yeah, Dan, yeah. Post it. Post it, brother. Post it and then click on it. And come in and join us. Oh, you're not going to bed.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Mike, man? Is this episode and shit. Kind of figured out who I was and whatever, but there was an incident. Our first dish that came out was supposed to be poke salad. When poke, it's kind of a generic term for it was basically raw fish. It's like a salad with raw fish, but there's different types of sauces, vegetables. and shit. You know, I had no idea what I was getting into, and then the head chef, I was like, I'm basically his assistant, right? Although it's not filmed like that. It's filmed like I'm an independent chef. I was doing, and they're paying me a lot of money, man. So I was just like just tell me what to fucking do, I'll do it. You know, make this, right? And well, we were serving like 120 people or something like that. It was around 100 people minus 10 or pokey, but we didn't make nearly enough like that, right?
Right.
I had to put all those little things in these little fucking plastic containers, you know, like 2-ounce containers, like where you put ketchup in and shit, like little condiment things. I did that, and then I was like, but then the tuna wasn't the tuna that we needed to use, and he was frustrated, you know, and they're like, "There's like fuck," because we're on a timer. He kind of snapped at me because he was on camera, and I don't know if he was doing this for show, which would make, you know, for good. It's a show, right? Some tension, shit like interesting. And he's like, "This is not enough." I said, "I know it's not enough. I can fucking see that. One that fucking told me to make this, I made it. So you're blaming me? You're blaming you to make it for whatever it was." I was like, "Look, you ingredients, I made it." And I grabbed the bowl out of the table. It's like, "Here, why don't you fuck?" And I was cussing, like the cameras were all over me and shit. Like it was all like dramatic and Hell's Kitchen shit. It's like, "Why don't you fucking make it, man?" And like, "I'm just following your fucking lead. You're supposed to be the head goddamn chef. Why are you busting my balls? Why are you busting my balls? If you fucked up, why don't you fucking own it?" And I was like all up in his face. Like, but see, I think he was kind of acting, but I wasn't. I was like this. I was like, put me in. It was cool. I sat down and had a beer. And again, the fact that he sat down, the only chef that he liked, you know, I guess other chefs by me by far, but yeah, I'm the only real chef, so real personality. I shouldn't say chef, but personality.
If you come to New Zealand or even Australia, I'll come over and punch in the face.
I've been punched in the face for. I think I might be overdue. Sometimes we all need to get punched in the face once in a while. Keep us in check.
Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't seen you for a while, Zach. It's been a while.
I've been kind of. I found a girlfriend. As you know, wife, girlfriend, whatever. Wife, I spend 5 nights. She lives like 45 minutes away, so it's kind of takes a lot of time. But it's well worth it. I'm happy with her. You know, we had a little rough spot, but smooth sailing for the last couple weeks, and it's bent over backwards for me. I mean, I haven't had a job for 2 months. As soon as I got back from Atlanta, like I went to Atlanta with like $600, and then I came back with like I got like wiped out. So she's like in the last week and a half, she's like bought me beer, bought me smokes, you know, and she's really tried really hard, drives me around to job interviews, drives me here, drives me there. See, she's really like, she's trying to make up for what she fucked up on doing.
Sure.
Yeah, she's trying, you know.
You'll notice my surroundings are quite different.
Yeah, what's up with that? Did you move out?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know
Me and my
about
wife
this.
broke up.
Again? You did that 6 months ago. Sorry to hear about that.
Dude, it is what it is, man. Like, it was an amicable split. You know, there's no hate. We don't hate each other. You know, we're not fucking fighting over the kids and shit. So it's all good, man.
Good. Are you happier?
Oh, dude, I'm loving it.
Well, good, man. Good for you.
I'm digging
And
it.
shit about the kids, like there's no like you can't see the kids.
Nah, there's none of that.
Okay, good. Oh, I didn't know that, man. I it's that Facebook
Dude,
post or whatever.
I've been so busy fucking hooking this shit up and getting this shit straight. Because I've wanted to fucking pop into Sin. But I live with a dude. I live with like I got a roommate. And you know, like he went to bed early tonight, so it's cool. I can hang out and fucking do this kind of shit. But dude, I'm loving it. I'm living in a new city. Like it's been 6 years since I've been in a fully functional city.
But what city are you in now?
I'm living in Wellington, which is New Zealand's capital.
Okay.
And fucking like
Yeah, you're still working the boat. You still yard?
huh?
Working on boats.
No, I'm working on land. I'm a landscaper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
make gardens, make backyards look awesome.
Sure.
Yeah. So basically just selling.
That's a respectable job. I've done it myself, and that's not the job either. It's not an easy job. I think that's like a slacker job. Oh, no, it is not.
No, it is not.
Absolutely.
Wellington. I'm guessing Wellington's a lot like San Diego. San Diego is like a hilly city, isn't it? A lot of hills in San Diego.
Yeah. I mean, it's hilly. The city.
San Diego was where the car chase from Bullet was filmed.
Not sure.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was. Mega hills.
You know, you're a music. San Diego. The Offspring, that band came out of San Diego. Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know it's not metal, but we have some talent here.
Yeah, man.
Oh, by the way, I told you I saw them a few months ago. Well, they're coming back. I see them again.
Ghost.
Venom.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, twice.
Dude, you gotta go see Venom.
I saw him once. I'll see him again. Venom's cool, man. Like, I'm not even really into that style of music, man. Okay, I actually like Venom more than say like Vital Remains. Just like you know, where it's like some melodies and like lyrics I can actually understand. Just old school. Maybe I'm too old for Vital Remains, but yeah.
Dude, there's a band you really should check out. Is Behemoth?
I have checked out
Good, solid Satanist men.
Behemoth, Deicide, and Cannibal Corpse. I got turned on to up in Portland.
Man, there's only one Satanist band you mentioned there.
Behemoth?
Yeah. Hey, how was Brian when you saw him?
I remember a Minute Man, a special guest speaker at the Left Hand Path convention, but he kicked in Augustus out because he got too email, which he's not. But not that even the fuck, let the guy fucking judge him. His presentation, race or anything like that. The host cowardly and kicked him out, just peer pressure, because criminal defense got the balls to defend people that other criminal defense attorneys won't, and white supremacists. So deserves to have legal representation and willing to do that. And after all, this guy is a fucking Thelmalite. You know, he follows Aleister Crowley's school of thought. So, you know, yeah. But they kicked him out, and so Brian Werner and Lucy Satanic Temple left out of him out. I accept that I promised them, and I try to be a man of word. So
what? So Brian Werner and Lucian Greaves got kicked out.
No, kicked out. They left because Augustus kicked out. He's a Congress in Florida, but he's very open about his Satanism. Yeah, right now he's very open about his Satanism, and he's attorney, and he's represented white neo-Nazi organizations, represented a lot of them because nobody else will. He's an open Satanist. More of the Aleister Crowley school. He's a Thelmalite, is what he considers himself. But yeah, he's, you know, so he's guilty by association. But I talked to him on the phone, and he's like, I'm not a white supremacist. He's like, look at my wife. Look at pictures of my wife. She's Mexican. They're half Mexican. Premise, but these people deserve representation, and they're discriminated against too. And I feel that I should represent. The auditorium kicked him out because they got too many emails saying like, oh, but then I'm not gonna go because Augusta presentationers leave that were supposed to give their presentations. Like 3 of them left because Augustus was going to be there. Although Augustus was like the main draw, like Augustus would have brought hundreds of people. Yeah. So out of protest, Lucian and Brian left. Lucian Greaves and Brian Werner said presentations like, fuck you. You're censoring this shit. We're out. And honestly, man, thing, but I was bought and paid for like 6 months ago. So I kind of felt I had to, you know. As a man, try to be. I showed up and did my shit out of protest.
Sure. That's a bummer. It would have been good to see Brian and Lucian hook up and show a bit of togetherness, you know.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. And I wish they would have, but I totally understand why they left. Leave, and I was gonna leave, but then I realized that if I left, it'd be like a big solid kick on the nuts to them because they already paid like $500 for me to go out there. So it's like fuck, you know, them, you know. So, but the whole thing fell apart. They spent big fucking half of the presenters left because Augustus was going to, and then half of them left because they kicked him out, and then none of them came back. So it was like it was a skeleton crew. But I'll tell you what, though, man, just between you and I, like I got to hook up with like 3 chicks over like 5.
This is going live, Zach. This is live on YouTube right now.
I shouldn't have said that, but oh well. It's okay. It's I don't know what time here. I'm starting to get foggy headed and fadey, man.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Just saying good night, man. I gotta get out of here. It's like 3:30 in the morning. Always nice talking to you. You can find me.
Yeah, man. I'll be in touch for sure. I'll you know, now that fucking life is hopefully settled down a little bit, I'll be able to fucking pipe back up on Sin for a little bit, and you know, we can throw a few opinions around. All right, viewer. Thanks a lot for watching. We're done. It was fun. We will no doubt do this again. Have a good night.